Scott Family Homestead. Welcome back to the farm. Today we're gonna go into milking our dairy cow, show you a little bit about what goes into that, and also talk about the differences in the dairy cows that we've had. Laurelai was the very first cow that we had. She will always have a spot in our hearts here. Unfortunately, we lost Laurelai to an accident on the ice here. That put us in the market to buy a new dairy cow, which we have now, and her name is Rosie. But I want to talk a little bit about the differences between these two cows because they are very different. They're both Jerseys. Their personalities are very different. Laurelai, when she came to this farm, she was a 4-H cow. She was a heifer. Had not had a baby before. She was halter trained. She spent a lot of time around people, and we could tell. So we brought her here and we worked with her quite a bit. We got her into the stanchion before she had her baby, Rory. We worked with her quite a bit and got her used to us, used to process that we were going to implement here. When she had her baby, it was in the barn. We were there for it. We helped her through that. We helped baby start nursing, helped them to bond together and all of that. So we were very involved with her basically coming of age and being able to be a milk cow. When a heifer gets into milk and you start to milk her, there's going to be some behavior issues. So we did work through some of that. Her first lactation, it started out a little bit rough. She was moving around in the stanchion, kicking the buckets. She actually tried to lay down one time in the stanchion. Eventually, she got used to the routine and she was a great milk cow. Rosie, on the other hand, was dairy raised. So she was raised on a dairy farm where they were machine milked and they were kind of herded through this process of like getting into the right space, very little human interaction. And that you can tell with her. So she's not like super excited to be pet or super excited to see people. She's getting better. We're working with her. As far as like production goes, Laurelai was a very low producing cow. She was kind of a smaller build. She was probably like on the borderline of mini Jersey. With Rosie, she came to us and we were expecting about 4 gallons a day. So from a dairy farm, she was getting about 4 gallons a day. We didn't want 4 gallons a day from Rosie. We were able to get just about 1 gallon a day from her while calf sharing. So that's a big difference is we don't milk twice a day at the same time every day. We milk once a day. When baby's young, baby's on getting that milk all day during the day. Once the baby's weaned off and we're milking, it's every morning we go out and we milk. You know, we get less production, which is fine for us. We're using this milk for our own consumption. Laurelai had very small teats, so very short. They were quite difficult to be able to milk quickly. So with Laurelai, we could milk out her less than 1 gallon a day. And it would take us probably about a half an hour of actual milking time. So total time from leaving the back door to getting back into the house with milk was about an hour. With Rosie, she has much longer teats, much larger teats. We're able to get our whole hand on there to milk. With Laurelai, we could have to do like the pinch method. It's a lot easier to milk Rosie. We get a lot more out of each squeeze of the teat. Now that we're in the routine, I can easily milk out 1.5 gallons in about 20 minutes. Hopefully that is helpful. Hearing a little bit about the differences in these two cows that we've had. A little bit about maybe what you might want to look for if you're shopping for a dairy cow. Think about some of these things and look at the teats and figure out like, are they long enough? Am I going to be able to milk quickly enough? Was this cow raised in a way that's going to mesh with how we are intending to raise these cows? And am I going to be able to get along with this cow well? Do I want a cow that is like asking for pets and to be scratched like a dog basically? Or do I want one that's less personable? Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe you want something cow that you can be petting on and they kind of like turn their head and give you a hug. It's all about what you want out of a milk cow. And this is a little bit of the difference between between the two that we've had. So I hope that helps. Let's dive into some of the milking footage, and then we'll wrap up with a little bit of filtering and show you kind of how that works. We're gonna milk the cow. I don't think I've showed Rosie on video and milking her. The process is about the same as when we were milking Laurelai. She just has a little bit different temperament. Which is fine. Just something that we have to keep in mind when we're bringing her into the barn. Laurelai was very routine based. She would come into the barn, just like you'd open up the door, she'd walk into the barn and had no problem going into the stanchion to be milked. Rosie's a little bit different. She'll come in the barn, she'll come hang out in this middle aisle, and then she'll look into the stanchion and see if there's any grain. And if I haven't put the grain down yet, she'll just stand there. She will not come into the stanchion, even though she knows that every day we go in the stanchion and get milked, and then she leaves. She won't do it if there's no grain. The hard part with that is that if there's too much grain, she starts stomping around, stretching, trying to get access to all the grain that's down there. If she pushes some far away, she'll step and try to get it, and then a lot of times she'll end up kicking the bucket, spilling the milk. And I have found that is where the saying, "Don't cry over spilled milk," comes from. Is when you're about done milking a cow who gives 1.5 gallons of milk a day by hand, and then she kicks the bucket over, makes you want to cry. But what I do is give a little bit of grain, get her into the stanchion, and then take the grain away so that she stands nice. Because once there's no grain there to go after, she's very calm. She'll stand there to be milked, and then when she's done, she gets grain. And it's just something that we learned with Laurelai. I'd give her a little bit of grain when she first gets in there as like a thank you for coming into the stanchion and standing there, and then the rest of the grain she gets when she's all done. And then they get to know and understand that, and then they will milk nicely from there, and they don't get that grain brain situation where they're stomping around and making a big fuss. So I'm going to fill this bucket full of grain, take it into the barn, and we will start milking. All right, so we have to be a little bit careful with this because we've put all the cows in together. So Rosie is in with a lot of the beef cows now, and Digger as well. So Digger's out here. We don't want him getting in the barn. Just want Rosie in the barn. Morning, Rosie. She knows the routine. She's ready to come in. Come on in. I'll get out of your way. Rosie, get out of that bucket. Get out of that bucket. You gotta go around the other way. Come on. Come on. So she'll follow me. Come on. Come on. She's like, no. She wants the easy grain without having to get milk. Come on, Rosie. Here. Set the grain there. I'm gonna come over here. You gotta go. You gotta go this way. Nope. This way. Turn around. There you go. All right, come on. Turn around. There you go. Come on, Rosie. Let's put some grain down here for you. There you go. As soon as I put the grain down, she gets in the stanchion and she's ready to go. With Rosie, it's kind of like she'll deal with us as long as she's getting grain. So I'll get her into the grain like this. I grab her tail, put it up against this post, and then I've got a little wrap. I'll wrap her tail up so she's not swatting me in the face while we're milking. And then I'll get her teeth all cleaned up, and we'll get her milked. Some warm soapy water. I'm gonna stand off to the side just in case she decides to kick. She's not been much of a kicker, which is good. There you go, one clean side, one not clean side. So we have taken Rosie's calf Sage and moved her over with the steers and the young heifers who are at least 6 months or older, and we don't want them to be bred by Digger, so we've got them moved into a separate pasture. So she's out there, Rosie stays in here. We'd like Rosie to be bred, so we're hoping that the cow that we saw mounting Digger on the cameras was Rosie, because she's, the next time she goes into heat, we'd like her to be bred. And that should give like a July, I think, calf, which would be perfect for her. But one thing that we do, because there's not a calf suckling on her all day, one thing we do with her now is we'll do a pre-dip and a post-dip of an iodine solution to make sure that any bacteria that's on there before we milk is taken off. Any bacteria that's on there after we milk also gets taken off. This reduces contamination in the milk that we save for ourselves, reduces the chances of it, I should say, and it reduces the chances of mastitis when we're all done. All right, one more and then we'll do that dip. This is the solution we use, pre and post dip, 0.5% sanitizing. We just put it into this little container, squeeze it up into the reservoir, and then just dip our teeth in. Just one quick dip is all it takes, and then let it sit for a minute, and then we wash it off. So now that she's done with her grain, she's kind of settling in a little bit. So that's why she took a step back there. And she knows that when I milk, I like this leg to be pushed back. So I'll often use my foot to step on the top of hers very gently, get her to move her foot back. So she's just doing that for me right now. She's done with the grain, and she realizes what we're here for. Just a quick dry off. Perfect. A little hand sanitizer, just to clean my hands. So I have this bucket, which is always our clean catch bucket. And this is what I milk into. And then I have a little 1 gallon canister with a lid on it. And that is what I walk outside with and bring into the house. That keeps the cap on it, keeps it from getting any contamination between the barn and the house. But this just has a nice wide rim on it. It's easy to aim into. So we'll do that. First, I'm going to strip some milk out of each tube into the gutter. And that just makes sure that we're getting fresh milk once we start to milk into our bucket. I think that's good. Yeah, probably, I don't know, 1.25 gallons. It's probably a little bit less than what she normally goes, which could be a signal that she's going into heat, which would be great. That she's in with the bull. So we'll get this put into the carrying canister and bring it up to the house to filter. I'd like to give just a little bit of milk to the cat. So filled up the spin around here. I filled up the carrying canister up to the top. We got a lid on that and gave the rest of the cats. It's just about enough to fill their bowl. The post dip really quickly, and then we'll let her go outside. So when we're doing the post dip, we do not have to wipe that off. So we just go ahead and dip it, dip each teat, and then let her outside. There you go. A little bit uncomfortable. Ready? All right, so she's out with the other cows. Got the last of her grain. And now we just need to wash up the stanchion so it's clean for next time. This was the bucket that we milked into. Just pour this water into that bucket. A little bit here. Wash the bottom of the bucket out. That just does like a really quick rinse. It makes cleanup easier a little bit. Makes cleanup later a little bit easier. So dump this out and squeegee it. So there we go. That was pretty easy. Now let's get the milk inside quickly and get it filtered out. All right, guys, so we are in the house now. We have our gallon of milk, freshly milked from Rosie. Now, to filter it, we use this type of filter here, and we will link in the description below all of our affiliate links. We actually use these filter paper filters inside of this. So when you're milking in the barn, you get anything from like hairs to dust or anything else that might fall in while you're milking. This is just to get rid of all those particles. So we take our jar, set our filter in there like this, and I'll grab a paper filter. Yeah, there's 100 of these. There's 6.5-inch discs. This is our milk. You can see kind of that yellowy color to it. It means there's a lot of cream in there. That's excellent. You'll be able to make things like butter. You can make buttermilk. You can whip that into whipped cream. It's so good. And still, this is going fairly quickly today. There are some days when there's either like a lot of foam in the milk or there's like a extra heavy cream. It can take a little bit longer to filter. There's still a little bit left on the bottom here. So when you get all done filtering, you want to take a look at this filter and just kind of see what's in it. And you can see a little bit of yellowing here, which is totally fine. What we're looking for is any like hard, yellowy globs of milk. And sometimes if you find those, you can rub them between your finger, and if they sort of disappear, then it's just butter fat and it's totally fine. But if they are hard lumps, that would be a sign of mastitis, and we just need to test for that. But this one looks really good, nice and clean. Don't even see any hairs on there. So we're looking good. But there we go. 1 gallon of farm fresh milk. Milk from the cow, filtered, put a lid on it right away. So typically we'll use these in like 2 to 3 days. They will last several weeks in the fridge. We always put ours into dispensers. This one is almost empty. I don't know if you can see the cream line on there in the video. The cream line is right there, right at the dispenser level. So what this does with the spigot at the bottom here is it'll actually draw the milk off the bottom and leave this cream line at the top. So this is all your cream. And we could scoop that off and make that into whipped cream or whatever you wanted to do. But I really like these dispensers. They fit in the fridge nicely. We can link those below in the description as well. So there we go. That is milking. So we do every morning. If anybody is interested in getting started with a milk cow, drop us a comment. Let us know. We're more than willing to help. We can answer any questions you might have. Thank you so much for coming along with me today. We appreciate every single one of you. Every like, every comment helps us so much. So thanks for coming along today, guys. I will catch you next time. Bye, guys.